Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're going to take a look at the Ripple XRP price chart and we're going to answer a question today. We're going to answer, has XRP missed alt season or is XRP missing alt season? I know right now there is so much concern out there. I'm not numb to it. I completely understand that there is a ton of concern out there. I get DMs all the time of people who are just completely worried, and it's understandable, right? Tomorrow there's going to be the halting of trading of XRP over there on Coinbase, and I did misspeak in my last video. I thought that Kraken was still going to continue trading, but they're not. They're going to be stopping and halting trading of XRP for US residents on January 29th. So with all these things going on, and with XRP's price sitting so low, there is a ton of worry out there. And so today I'm going to address this question of, are we missing alt season? And I'm going to answer that by going through and looking through the previous cycles to see what was happening to the altcoins as Bitcoin was going parabolic. Because in my opinion, XRP has not missed alt season, and I'm going to show that to you on here. But it's understandable for people to have that feeling of feeling just really low right now. I totally understand how you're feeling that way. The narrative out there is really, really bad, and it's not just a narrative. We're seeing real life consequences of this narrative happening. In the end, we don't know how the narrative will play out. We are completely in the dark on this thing, on what is the future going to be. There's going to be a lot of speculation on how this thing's going to play out, what the story is going to be like, how it's going to end, what's the final result going to be, how is that going to be for XRP, how's that going to be for Ripple. And in the end, right now, we just have no idea. We can completely speculate on it, but it's really just a feeling of helplessness when you know that it's completely out of your control. And sometimes just accepting that things are out of your control can make you feel better. Just saying, you know what, this is actually completely out of my control. I can worry about it, I can stress about it, but in the end, it's completely out of my control. But the things that we can look at is we can look at these charts and say, well, hey, is anything unusual happening in regards to previous alt seasons? And has this alt season already taken off and has it left XRP behind? Because right now, XRP is sitting at 28.5 cents. Bitcoin's up here at $37,000 and a brand new all-time high, while Ethereum's at $1,248, up near its previous all-time high. Yet XRP, down from its previous all-time high, up here near $3.30, sitting all the way down here at 28.5. So there's a lot of worry out here. Why aren't we catching up with the rest of the market, right? And while it is a painful experience, it is a painful moment in time, I want to show you how the market has not detached from Bitcoin yet for any type of alt season, and due to that, XRP has not been left behind. This is one of my favorite types of charts to make when it comes to analyzing how Bitcoin has done and how alt seasons do. I'll take multiple different coins and look at them in comparison to Bitcoin throughout the history of time to see what time period was Bitcoin in when the altcoins took off and were all the altcoins taking off together. And we can easily see on this chart that there's several times where just all the altcoins took off together along with Bitcoin, right? Now, when we just look at it from this type of perspective and we're kind of zoomed out, we say to ourselves, oh, well, they just all took off at the same time. But when we really zoom in on these things on a really micro level, we can actually pinpoint the specific moments that these altcoins all took off together. And when we're zoomed out, it just looks like, yeah, Bitcoin was going up and these were all going up at the same time. Bitcoin was going up, these were all going up at the same time. It actually wasn't the case. Bitcoin was leading the way in a lot of these circumstances. And when we really zoom in on it and take a peek at it and see that Bitcoin was way up here, meanwhile, XRP was still sitting down here at the bottom after Bitcoin was almost at its all-time high way up here back in 2013, and XRP was still sitting at the lows. We could see that they weren't exactly at the same time, and there was a specific moment in Bitcoin when the altcoins decoupled and detached and went on an alt season. So the question is, has that moment already begun for the rest of the altcoins, and XRP is the lone wolf sitting by itself not taking advantage of it? Now, we'll get back to that chart here in just a second, but the easiest way to answer that question is simply by just looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart. We can take a look at what happened in 2017, how there were two separate alt seasons that happened. We had alt season number 1 in 2017, and then Bitcoin regained its dominance back. Then we had alt season number 2. And we can see that there has been no alt season yet. So no alt season has even happened at this point for there to be a detachment of XRP from the altcoins yet. But one thing we can see on here is with Bitcoin is we have a major crash followed by retracement back up to the 702 Fibonacci retracement. And Bitcoin is most likely, in my opinion, going to be rolling over for an alt season. But has that alt season begun yet? You could see right in here, this is a level we've spent so much time in. We've spent nearly a year and a half in this level right here at 66.67%. That is just kind of the average area for Bitcoin dominance for the last year and a half. So has anything really started for an alt season? No. I would say if the Bitcoin dominance was way down here near 50% or something and taking out lows way down here and altcoins were all taking off and this dominance was just falling and XRP was still sitting there at 28.5 cents, well, that would be a worry. That would be like, well, wait a minute, the rest of the market is taking off. The Bitcoin dominance is falling. However, we don't see that yet on Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin is still holding on to the lead and the altcoin market has not started to take that away from it. Yeah, it has moved down in the last couple of weeks from being at 71 to 66 or 67, but nothing huge, right? No real alt season has begun like we've seen previously. This is what an alt season looks like. The Bitcoin dominance just completely falls apart in both of these circumstances. We don't have that yet. We're still right here in the average pricing, the average Bitcoin dominance that we've had for the last year and a half. But let's head back over to the other chart. Now, before we look at this at a microscopic level, when we start looking at particular days, what was happening at that exact time before the exact alt seasons began, I would like to say that, it's starting to look a whole lot more like we're just going to be having one alt season in this market. The only time we've ever had two alt seasons was back here when Bitcoin broke above this all-time high. It was battling against its all-time high, and then you could see everything really started to take off. So the Bitcoin high was right over here, and you can see at this time when it was breaking through this all-time high, that's when all these altcoins started really taking off. We did not see that this time, right? We did not see that Bitcoin was doing that when we broke out into all-time highs. We did not see all of the altcoins take off. We did not see the Bitcoin dominance start to crumble like we just looked at on that previous chart right here, how Bitcoin's dominance started to crumble right at that moment. You can see that on March 16th through March 10th through March 30th, which is right here, March 10th through March 30th. All this area right in here, that's where the dominance really fell apart. That's where the altcoins really started to take off. We did not see that. We're showing a whole lot more similarity right now compared to what happened when we were going parabolic with Bitcoin in 2013 and in 2017. So I have to play my cards in accordance to that, look, it's looking like we're just going to be having one altcoin season, and that's how I'm going to play it. So flipping and flopping between altcoins back to Bitcoin, back to altcoins seems unlikely. I could be wrong, but when I'm looking at it from how we've had previous market cycles, it's looking like we're just going to have one alt season, considering that Bitcoin is already starting to go parabolic. So since the narrative of what's going to happen with Ripple, what's going to happen with XRP is out of my control, the only thing within my control is to pinpoint when did those alt seasons actually begin right in here, have those moments already begun, and has the rest of the market already started to take off, and XRP is just completely getting left behind. What I'm going to do here is put the 2013 bull run that happened for Bitcoin right here overlaid on the current bull run that we're having here in Bitcoin in 2020 and 2021, and show that there was this large knockback that took place right in here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer and you can see this one right here. This is when alt season began during that time period. So we can put kind of a line right there to show it got rejected right here up near $52,000, had a large knockback and then rose back up, and alt season happened all the way through here. Looking at where Bitcoin is right now, we can see that we're approaching that level, that same time period. This whole structure, this whole correction we've had for multiple years at this point mirrored what happened back in that time. In my opinion, is that we're likely going to be doing some type of rise of similar magnitude. I know that is frowned upon by a lot of people, especially a lot of the new people coming into this market who've probably been sold the idea that we're going to $1 million, we're going to $500,000, whatever it is. But this has been a target that I've had for years. I've been in this market for years. This is the target I've been looking for. It makes the most sense to me. It mirrors what we've been doing in the past. It mirrors the extensions of these Bitcoin bull runs. And also it does have a Fibonacci extension that takes us out to that exact level. So for a full top for Bitcoin, somewhere between that $70,000 and $80,000 price level makes the most sense to me. And then when we look back at what happened with Bitcoin during this time period, it was very similar. It was Bitcoin breaking out into these new all-time highs and not taking the altcoins with it. We're approaching that level of where that large knockback took place, but we haven't seen it yet. And not only that, the alt season, while altcoins did rise as Bitcoin was recovering in here, the actual decoupling from Bitcoin took place up here in this level right here. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. But at this point right now, even if Bitcoin goes up higher and higher and higher and has a big knockback and then comes back up, it doesn't really need to be at least decoupling for me until we at least see that new highs are getting taken out over here. So I'll show you that here in a second, and let's move back over to the other chart. But I wanted to show you the similarity of what we're doing right now compared to 2013, and it seems the most likely to me that's what we are following. Nothing with my targets for Bitcoin changes, nothing with my opinion changes in regards to alt seasons. Still following it perfectly. It still looks just fine. But the point being is that when we look back at how the altcoins were doing at that time, when that last Bitcoin bull run happened in 2013, not the 2017, but the 2013, that XRP was still sitting way down here at the lows when Bitcoin reached that point. So when Bitcoin got here and got knocked back, XRP was still sitting way down at the lows. And then as Bitcoin had a little bit of a recovery, so did XRP, but the alt season began and it really started to decouple from it right over here. So I'll put us on a percentage growth chart and we can kind of take a look at that from that exact moment in time. So this is that line of where that big knockback took place, and we zoom in over there and see, hey, look, there was no huge decoupling. It did recover at the exact same rate as Bitcoin did, but then as Bitcoin was right back up here near this high again, the complete decoupling took place, and that also happened for Litecoin at that time. So you could see Litecoin decoupled at the exact same time. But like we mentioned, one of the painful things we're looking at right now is that XRP is sitting so low, while Bitcoin is way up into an all-time high, and Ethereum is back up near its all-time high. And so let's go back to the end of 2017 bull run for Bitcoin and the alt season that took place there when Bitcoin was very parabolic. Let's show that parabolic Bitcoin, right? And we could see that where were these altcoins taking off right in here? Well, here's a large knockback that took place, and I'll take this all log scale so we could see that, right? Here's a large knockback that took place up near the top for Bitcoin, and then what happened with the altcoins after that. Well, one thing we can notice here is we can look at Ethereum. I've got Ethereum here in kind of this greenish teal color right there. Ethereum was up at its all-time high at that point. Meanwhile, XRP was still way below its previous all-time high. Once again, another moment in time, and I'll put a line on it right here, that this is the mark where that big knockback happened, that Ethereum's already up at its all-time high, Litecoin is starting to go, but XRP is still sitting way down at the lows. Then what happens with Bitcoin? We see it come down, we see it start to recover and get back up to this recovery level, and then what happens? XRP starts to take off. And that's one of the most famous bull runs for XRP because the most people came into the market at that time. That's where XRP went from about 20 cents up to $3.30. But it once again shows you how there's this large knockback after Bitcoin's going completely parabolic and then it recovers. And then at that recovery, when it gets back to those highs, that's when a decoupling from with the altcoins happens. And we haven't had that moment in time yet, whether or not this was that big knockback or if that big knockback still has to come. We still haven't reached that moment of recovery where the altcoin market in a whole has decoupled from Bitcoin. And in essence, XRP has not been left behind at that point. And XRP is doing what it has done previously at the last two times that Bitcoin went parabolic, in that XRP was the laggard in both of those cases. So leading up to this moment, leading up to the SEC lawsuit getting dropped out of nowhere back there right before Christmas, we were following very similar to what was happening in 2017 for that really big bull run. All of our fractals matched up perfectly to it. Then suddenly, boom, just like that, just like the drop of a lawsuit, we lost what had been going on for 2 years. And now we turn back to saying, okay, well, what's within our control? And we can say, well, we know that Bitcoin's going parabolic just like it did identically. I mean, you could say the last 6 years of Bitcoin have mirrored what that bull run looked like just by looking at this chart right here. And what happened with the altcoins at that time. And it's as Bitcoin approached near that top is when those altcoins all really started to take off. And really, none of the major altcoins have gone on to set new all-time highs yet. So there hasn't been this huge breakout of altcoins, especially when we've looked at that total altcoin market cap to see that the market cap is still at a retracement level. It hasn't broken out yet. And while it's tough to sit down there at those low prices, it's unfortunately something that we've all had to go through before if we've been in XRP prior to a bull run. There was always this moment of, I can't believe I'm stuck in this thing when everything else is taking off. That has absolutely happened happened, and it's absolutely been worse than this in regards to all of the coins setting new all-time highs. Like we're talking about Ethereum up there in the new all-time highs, Litecoin really kind of getting to go, XRP still sitting down there really low. The difference is there's a huge narrative hanging on people, right? It's resting on their shoulders, holding them down, and it's really overwhelming to have this narrative on top of it with price suppression happening at the exact same time. But each time those monstrous explosions happened for XRP, they happened after long suppression, after the market had already proven to be incredibly bullish, yet XRP was still being held down. And XRP in the last couple of bull runs, right, man, in that 2013 one at the parabolic rise for Bitcoin and in the 2017 one parabolic rise for Bitcoin, Bitcoin topped before XRP finished its bull run. So XRP would continue if it did exactly what happened in 2013 and 2017. The bull run would still be going on for XRP after Bitcoin has already topped. Maybe going on for another week or two beyond when Bitcoin is done. So we saw a lot of rotating out of the complete sell-off of Bitcoin actually go into XRP during those times. So it's tough right now. I know it's tough. I feel the same things that you're feeling. I get a lot of people messaging me saying, man, I'm just feeling overwhelmed, and I understand it. But the things that we do know is that XRP has had a tendency to be a laggard when it comes to parabolic rises for Bitcoin and the alt seasons that take place at that time. And we also know that alt season hasn't begun yet. We haven't seen the decoupling of all of the altcoins, and we haven't seen the drop in the Bitcoin dominance. And history has shown when that does happen, XRP goes with it. And that moment hasn't happened yet. So that should be something optimistic to look at and say, okay, we haven't been left behind because alt season hasn't begun yet. I know a lot of people were hoping there would be a lot of switches turned on and a lot of crazy narratives and peg to gold and all these things that went on throughout the bear market narrative wise. But the thing we've always been able to rely on, and I've communicated that on this channel for years at this point now, is that we know XRP has done well during alt seasons. And has the alt season begun yet? It has not. So that is still ahead of us. And one of the great things, and I know it's really not good that Coinbase is going to be halting the trading of XRP tomorrow, but after tomorrow, that event will be behind us. Then I look towards the future and I say, okay, what are the bad things that can happen in the future now, right? Well, I can't see too many bad things at this point. It's already been pretty bad. So what are the good things that could happen? Well, XRP could get declared not a security, or Ripple has to do something with their total supply that they own that limits it, and it gives a lot of people more confidence in what's going to happen with all those coins that they have. All the exchanges come back and they say, oh, wait, we're allowing trading for US residents again. Institutional investors decide, like Grayscale, say, hey, you know what? All right, we'll take it back now. Those are all the things that are ahead, right? All the bad things are essentially behind us, especially once we get past this Coinbase thing tomorrow. The bad things are all behind us. The things to worry about are really behind us. And there's a lot of good narratives ahead of us, and the alt season hasn't started and hasn't left XRP behind. So I hope that makes you feel a little bit better in regards to the alt season and that it just hasn't even started yet. But we'll go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you'd like, you can check out my website over here. It's bcbacker.com. I do have content on here where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs and the different altcoin seasons, explaining how they've worked in the past. I do include what my exit plans are on here, and I have been updating them with progress updates to show you what I'm seeing happening in the market as time progresses. I include a lot of other stuff in here if you want to learn how to look at some charts, if you want to understand mathematics of rebalancing and stuff like that. And you could check this out over here on my website at bcbacker.com. Of course, you can follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope you can kind of get an understanding on why we have to look at Bitcoin so much lately. And it's not because there's much percentage left in there. It's the most dismal percentage and the smallest amount of percentage that there is out there for any of these crypto assets. But you can see clearly that there's always been a correlation between what happens with Bitcoin and when those alt seasons take off. So we're taking a peek at that stuff. I know people don't really love Bitcoin. A lot of people love Bitcoin, right? It's the main one out there, but not everybody is here for the Bitcoin show. But it's important to understand what has happened in this market and how Bitcoin has always been the leader. And I've tried to communicate that on this channel for the longest time, that it plays a very important role in the cryptocurrency market. And we're getting to see that. And right now we're trying to pinpoint that moment of where all the altcoins decouple from Bitcoin. And we're getting relatively close with Bitcoin getting up there near that $40,000 price point. So, all right, I'll start wrapping this this thing up. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.